There is one incredible hip strengthening exercise that a lot of people do, but almost everybody gets it wrong. In today's video, I'm going to show you the common mistakes that people make and how to do it correctly so you can build stronger hips for many years to come. My name is Harlow and I'm a specialist in helping people over 50 to improve their strength and mobility. And today we're talking about this exercise. So this is the exercise we're talking about today, the hip abduction inside lying. And it's a fabulous exercise and I give it out to people all the time because it strengthens the glutes and improves back, knee and hip pain. But the problem is most people get it wrong. And that's an issue because if you get it wrong, it's not doing what you think it's doing. So I'm going to show you the most common mistakes people make now and then how to fix it. Mistake number one is not rolling far enough forward, as you can see on your screen now. And if we don't roll far enough forward when we're doing the hip abduction exercise, you start to use your hip flexors, which are the muscles at the front of the hip, which is exactly the opposite of what we're trying to do. So not rolling forward enough is a big problem. The second mistake that you can see on your screen right now is allowing your leg to drift forward when you lift it. And again, same thing happens. Your hip flexors kick in, and if your leg is drifting forward, the glutes aren't doing anything. They completely switch off, and the glutes are the target of this exercise. So if they're switched off, basically you're strengthening the totally wrong muscle group. The third problem is leading with your toes. And you can see that on the screen right now. And someone who leads with their toes basically turns their entire leg upwards, which means, again, the glutes aren't working. It's the muscles at the front of your leg. So another problem with using the hip flexors. And this is so common because many people have got really strong hip flexors and weak glutes. And your body always tries to take the path of least resistance. So we have to force it to use the muscle that's slightly weaker. Then the fourth issue, and this is a dangerous one, is lifting the leg too high and tensing the lower back. Now I say this is dangerous because I see people with back pain doing this all the time, and it makes your back pain worse. Because if you're lifting your leg so high that your lower back is doing part of the movement, that means that the spasm that's already there will often be triggered to become even worse, and you're actually having the opposite to the desired effect of why you did this exercise in the first place. So those are the four main mistakes that people make with this exercise. Let me show you now how to do it correctly. Okay, so here is how to do the hip abduction correctly. The first thing we want to do is make sure your setup is perfect. If you get your setup right, the rest of the exercise becomes a breeze. So you're going to lie on a mat or your bed or a nice carpeted floor, somewhere comfortable. And the first thing we want to do is get your legs nice and straight like this. So you're in a perfectly straight line from your shoulders all the way down to your feet. Now, the position of your body is one of the most important things for this exercise. So lie on your side comfortably. Then I want you to take your top hand, bring it over the top and put it on the mat or the bed or the floor in front of you. Now we're going to roll slightly further forward than feels natural. And that's really important. So this would be my natural position if I was just comfortably sitting here. But if I want to get into the right position, we want to be forward like this. And what this does is it lifts your glute to the top of your body and means that as we lift the leg up, we're using that and not that, okay? Super, super important. So put yourself in the right position like this. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that as we lift the leg, we're leading with your heel. So if we're leading with the toes, which is wrong, it would be like that. If we're leading with the heel, it's like that. So as we start to lift the leg, make sure your heel is above your toes as you lift. Now, the next thing that's really important is the direction that your leg moves in. Most people do it like this, which to you might look normal, but that isn't the best way of getting the glutes to work. Because if you lift your leg like this, one of the biggest movers right now is my tensor fasciae lata, a tiny little hip flexor at the front of my hip. So just lifting the leg straight up in the air just won't cut it. You aren't working the right muscle. Instead, you've got to go up and ever so slightly back. Now, this is probably the most important point on this video. If you go up 80% and back 20%, you're going to be in the perfect position. And if you want to test this, you can look down the line of your body and you should see that your leg or your foot ends up behind your shoulder. So if you're looking over your shoulder like this, you want to see your foot pop up behind your shoulder, not on top of it. That's a lovely guide to make sure you're in the right position. The other way you can get this right is you can imagine there's a wall behind you, and as you lift, you're trying to slide your heel up the wall. Now, the only way you're going to touch that wall is if your leg is just ever so slightly behind your body. Now, if you're doing this correctly, you'll know, because you'll feel it in the right spot almost straight away. And the right spot is just below your belt line at the back of your hip. So here, that's exactly where we want to feel it. And that belt line reference point is very important for just a moment. But if you want to test if you're in the right position, you want to lift up to that point. You can take that hand free for a minute and just touch that spot, and you should feel the muscle squeeze as you lift and then relax as you put it back down. That's a really good sign you're in the right place. Now, the final thing we don't want to do is this, where we lift up so high that the lower back starts to take over at the end. And if you watch people in legs, bums and tums classes, you see this all the time. They're lifting their leg nice and quickly, but they're basically tensing up their lower back every single time, and it can trigger a spasm very fast. So here's what you're going to do for this. You're going to only lift 80% of your maximum, and as soon as you feel your lower back tighten up, that means you've gone too far. So come away from the movement and bring the leg back down. Now, if you're someone with back pain, here's how you test it. If you found yourself in the right position and you can take your hand off for a minute, take your hand back, just put it above your belt line, which is why that reference is so important, on your lower back. And as you lift your leg, you shouldn't feel anything happening underneath your hand. It should feel relaxed all the way through. Okay, it's really, really important, especially if you've got back pain. And if you want to double make sure that this is correct, try and keep a small gap between your tummy and the bed. So you're just lifting your body to there, and then you're lifting up like this. Yes, you're tensing up a little bit more of your body around this area, but it will also protect your lower back. Now, as a final check, if you do that, you can't feel anything in your back as you lift, just take that hand below the belt and you should feel all the activity happening down there. And that means, congratulations, you're doing it perfectly. At the end of the set, you should feel achiness here, not at the front of the leg, not in your lower back, but here just below the belt line in that glute. Obviously, make sure you do both sides. And as a rough guide for how many and how often, I would recommend doing something like 10 to 20 repetitions, either 3 times in a row or spaced 3 sets throughout the day, 1 in the morning, 1 at lunch, 1 in the evening. That works so, so well. But don't be put off from this exercise. It's incredibly important. It will make a massive difference to your health if you do it regularly. It doesn't need to be every single day, but a few times a week is really, really good. And well done. You're going to smash it with those pointers. So I hope that was useful. Drop a comment below if it was. I've got another video on the screen right now to show you some more great glute strengthening exercises. So click on that if you found this useful, and I'll see you again on the next one.